Hi everyone, my name is Alicia.
I'm Brenna.
I'm Destiny.
I'm Faith.
And I'm Nicole.
We are here to present the ScolAssist, Revolutionizing Therapeutic and Preventative Care for Scoliosis.
Scoliosis is a life-limiting curvature of the spine that affects approximately 2 to 3% of the population in the U.S. alone. In fact, every member of our team has had a close personal relation to someone diagnosed with scoliosis. If left untreated, scoliosis can lead to more severe consequences, including impaired cardiopulmonary function, lower back pain, and pelvic shifting. In extreme cases, patients require spinal fusion surgery, which is a highly invasive and costly procedure. Limited solutions exist to prevent the progression of spinal curvature, with scoliotic bracing being the most common treatment. However, bracing can induce or exacerbate pre-existing paravertebral muscle atrophy, which is a stiffening of the spine due to the immobility of the patient's torso. Muscle atrophy is also a known cause of scoliosis due to the onset of asymmetrical muscle reduction in the superficial back muscles. Therefore, the ScolAssist was created to fill this knowledge gap and to address common issues in the prevention and the treatment of scoliosis, with an emphasis on paravertebral muscle atrophy as both a cause of scoliosis and as an adverse effect of scoliotic bracing. Our stakeholders include researchers in the field, as well as clinicians and doctors who aim to reduce the incidence of paravertebral muscle atrophy related to scoliosis in their patients.
The objective of the ScolAssist will entail revolutionizing therapeutic and preventative care for individuals diagnosed with scoliosis, preventing its long-term progression and reducing common side effects such as muscle atrophy in a comfortable and affordable manner. With the use of the team's biomedical and environmental engineering expertise, EMS will be used in the design to enhance muscle regeneration and to ensure that proper environmental standards during production, use, and disposal are met. Outside our scope includes fitting the design to the patient, as this will be performed by medical professionals, and due to the time constraint of this course, fabricating and testing the device will not be feasible and will be included in our team's next steps.
When developing our design, 7 constraints were considered to account for each potential design solution. First, if the design is a completely new brace, it must be made from nylon 12, which was recommended based on a study of scoliosis braces. Second, if the solution is to modify an existing scoliosis brace, its material must comply with ISO 10993, which ensures the material does not irritate the skin. If the solution involves EMS, it must comply with IEC 60601, which specifies requirements for muscle stimulators. If the solution is to be implanted, it must be cylindrical with hemispherical ends, and the appropriate material must be used per ASTM F981, which specifies requirements for implanted medical devices. Next, all solutions must not reduce contact between the brace and the body by greater than 5% to ensure treatment effectiveness. Also, the rate of muscle atrophy must not increase, as this is the key issue being tackled in this design, being both a cause and result of scoliosis. Finally, the solution must not increase Cobb angle progression by greater than 5 degrees, which is the standard acceptance of successful bracing treatments. To narrow our ideas to one optimal solution, 9 criteria were developed. Firstly, the battery consumption and design costs should be minimized, as the design has high potential for manufacturability and money should be saved for future rollout stages. Next, total yearly time for product use and additional complications introduced to the user should be minimized to minimize user effort. Accessibility and comfort should also be maximized to ensure widespread benefit and patient compliance respectively. Brace thickness should also be minimized to reduce patient insecurity. In terms of performance, both the degree of muscle atrophy and spinal curve progression should be minimized, as muscle atrophy and scoliosis are the target problems of this solution.
The engineering design process was used to solve this problem. This process began with defining the problem of muscle atrophy associated with scoliosis and developing a problem statement. This was done by considering the contributing factors to the problem and the importance of solving the problem. The next step was gathering information on the problem through background research. This included researching existing patents and standards for scoliosis and muscle atrophy treatments, as well as gathering information on scoliosis patients. The next step of the design process was brainstorming design solution alternatives for the problem, where existing patents and treatments were examined to aid in the generation of ideas. Using these resources and brainstorming, 4 initial design alternatives were created. A decision matrix was used to evaluate the potential design alternatives. The possible solutions were compared using a weighted rating method based on the design criteria. From the results, a preliminary design solution was chosen. Additionally, a sensitivity analysis was performed to prove the validity of the results. The next step of the design process was organizing the functional components and physical elements of the design, and the materials were selected. Calculations were then performed to defend the effectiveness, performance, and safety of the design. The final step of the engineering design process was creating the finalized engineering drawings and specifications. Various tools were used to support the design process. Research tools such as journal articles, research studies, and patents were used for background research on the problem. Standards and codes were used to develop the design constraints and criteria. Design tools such as SolidWorks and PowerPoint were used to create engineering drawings and visual designs of our solution. As well, Excel was used in creating a Gantt chart. Communication tools such as Zoom and Microsoft Teams were used to facilitate weekly labs and team meetings.
The team considered multiple alternatives to fill this knowledge gap, the first being an implantable muscle stimulator. This alternative was too costly and invasive for implementation. Next, a design using straps was considered, but not selected as the straps can slip under daily use. The third design considered was to reinvent the standardized scoliosis brace by implementing EMS. However, this design was also not selected as it would have interfered with pre-existing therapeutic solutions. Lastly, the best design based on the decision matrix was a full-body torso sleeve with electrodes placed on either side of the spine. However, after receiving feedback from stakeholders and potential clients, the team decided on a final design that will maximize comfort for daily use. The Scoliosis consists of a skin-tight torso sleeve that has 4 knit conductive fabric squares serving as electrodes to stimulate both the latissimus dorsi and the trapezius muscles. The design also includes 4 adjustable straps that surround the front of the body and that go over the shoulder for the purpose of maintaining stability throughout daily use, as this design will be worn alongside their prescribed brace. Lastly, the Scoliosis will come with a small handheld remote that will be used to control the power and frequency stimulation. As discussed, the stimulation of the trapezius and the latissimus dorsi has proven most successful in the treatment of scoliosis. Therefore, the precise location of electrode placement has been determined to maximize the design's effectiveness. Presented here is a more detailed view of the SolidWorks sketch with detailed dimensions.
The primary material selected for the torso sleeve is a polyester sandwich mesh fabric. Previous studies have found that this material, when used in soft braces, is highly capable in treating scoliosis. This material is advantageous to the typical materials used in rigid braces as it is more comfortable, flexible, and suitable for patients to wear for a long time. Furthermore, polyester sandwich mesh is highly breathable as it has good air permeability in comparison to the rigid braces which have poor ventilation. As well, this material is highly resilient to damage and degradation as it is easy to clean and dry. Moreover, polyester fibers demonstrate good elasticity and dimensional stability, which allows for the material to return to its original shape after it is stretched. Silver conductive fabric was selected to conduct electrical stimulation to the muscles as it is highly conductive, which makes it an exceptional choice for its purpose. Furthermore, it is lightweight, stretchable, durable, antimicrobial, washable, and easy to cut and sew.
The controller for this device consists of 5 main components: a 9-volt lithium-ion battery, a microbit microcontroller with built-in LEDs and buttons for the user to select high or low stimulation frequency, a small breadboard, a case, and a cover. The output from the breadboard connects to patches of conductive fabric in the sleeve through an electrode lead. The circuit for functional electrical stimulation required a 9-volt input. Therefore, the 3.3 volts supplied by the microcontroller was first amplified using an operational amplifier. Finally, using the desired pulse frequency, pulse width, and pulse amplitude, the resistor value for the circuit was determined to deliver the desired safe maximum amplitude of 30 volts. Pulse frequency is input by the user through one of the 2 buttons as 30 Hz or 80 Hz, which are the recommended frequencies for elderly and younger individuals respectively. A pulse width of 250 milliseconds was used, as this induces a strong enough contraction to recruit motor fibers in the targeted muscles, but is low enough for frequent, regular use without muscle fatigue.
With the introduction of a new commodity to the market, a goal was set to drastically reduce the possible risks involved in the development of scoliosis. The first uncertainty which arose was the use of EMS equipment without close medical supervision was reported to pose danger to health and is highly ill-advised. Secondly, monitoring progression of muscle atrophy without medical assistance can prove to be a challenge. For the goal of scoliosis to be achieved, the user must diligently comply with the given medical advice. This raises concern regarding patient compliance and therefore effectiveness of the device. Lastly, the ability for the sleeve to be incorporated into the user's regime is dependent on their skin compatibility with the intensity of EMS, which can only be determined after application.
Through technical analysis, the ScolAssist was evaluated to perform optimally for its patients. For usability and comfort, the design thickness and weight have been calculated as 12.85 millimeters and 142.62 grams respectively, confirming that the ScolAssist will not be bulky if worn underneath braces and would not reduce body contact by greater than 5%. To minimize battery consumption and user maintenance, a lithium-ion battery was used and had a calculated duration of 10 hours. To ensure the effectiveness of the ScolAssist, treatment duration and pulse application were analyzed. Treatment was determined from research to be effective when applied for at least 30 minutes daily for a base duration of 3 months. The minimum treatment duration was calculated as 42 hours with a pulse application of 7,200,000 pulses per session. Lastly, to measure effectiveness, a goniometer will be used to calculate a patient's curve progression, comparing the spinal curve pre-treatment and post-treatment. This clinical trials testing plan displays the significance of different results obtained from treatment. At 0 months, if the curve is greater than 20 degrees, thereby requiring treatment, the ScolAssist will be prescribed to the patient's specific needs by a clinician. Every 3 months for the prescribed duration of treatment, the curve will need to be reassessed to ensure that it remains within the set criterion of preventing a progression of more than 5 degrees. If it doesn't, treatment will need to be reevaluated. Post-treatment, the curve will be reassessed again. If the curve progression is smaller than 0 degrees, then the ScolAssist is successful in the treatment of scoliosis.
As the ScolAssist is a device that will be utilized in the medical field, maintaining safety of our users is our #1 priority. First, since our design will use EMS, the IEC standards for muscle stimulation were heavily analyzed. To ensure a safe yet effective muscle contraction for the patients, muscles will be stimulated at an intensity of 60 milliamps. Then, using Ohm's law, an electrical voltage of 30 volts was found. This voltage was then compared with existing muscle stimulation products and yet again confirmed with IEC standards to ensure the voltage and current was safe and effective. By following the checklist and performing required testing, the safety of our design will be maintained for all of our users.
A major social impact of scoliosis relates to insecurity from the visible spinal curvature, resulting in reduced self-confidence in patients. If left untreated, the condition can cause physical pain, but even more so, great emotional distress and a limitation of day-to-day activities due to limited spinal rotation. Fortunately, the integration of the sleeve with the scoliosis brace improves the overall quality of life for the user, bringing the patient one step closer to reducing and managing the condition. The estimated cost of the ScolAssist was determined to be $76.40, inclusive of sleeve, remote, and all components which the device would require for an entire lifetime. This cost was concluded through extensive research for the finest yet cost-effective materials. We aim to produce a treatment which would reduce capital and operational costs while maximizing the efficacy and the quality of the end product. With the ScolAssist's ability to be recharged and washed, this ensures that users' expenses are minimized and replacement of the sleeve is completely avoided. Due to the choice of a lithium-ion battery, our sleeve is 100% reusable. The route in which we proceeded meant wet electrodes were not utilized in the sleeve, and the use of electrolytic gel was no longer required. Fortunately, with conductive fabric as a choice of EMS delivery, plastic and chemical waste output was completely avoided. Post the LCA procedure, we can proudly say the ScolAssist has a reasonable CO2 emission of 34 kilograms per sleeve. The team and I can now confidently conclude that we designed in ScolAssist a device which can deliver EMS treatment to reduce muscle atrophy and improve management of scoliosis in a simple yet effective, affordable, and most importantly, safe manner. Our next steps will be move forward with the right stakeholders, which will provide the team with the means to make ScolAssist a reality and meet the demand on the market for this revolutionary device. Thank you for your time.